I'm really honored to participate in this induction. It triggers a lot of very special memories for me. It was 1968. I had been president of Columbia Records for about a year and a half, had signed 2 artists. The albums were not out. They were to become Janis Joplin and Big Brother and the Holding Company and Blood, Sweat, and Tears. As we were about preparing the marketing campaigns for these 2 albums, I get this telephone call. And it was from a gentleman who was to become a real special friend to me. And more importantly, it was from someone who was to become a very special defining force of rock and roll, and that was Bill Graham. And as only Bill could, he started ecstatically describing the music of a group that he was to manage and that he was to mentor. His enthusiasm was that infectious that I hopped a plane to San Francisco, and that's when I first heard, saw, met with Santana. It was music that I had never heard before, soaring rock guitar with fiery multi-rhythm percussion, a fusion of rock and blues with Latin and African influences. It was mesmerizing, it was pulsating. I signed Santana. And then on September 19, 1969, their album came out, and Evil Ways roared to the top, changing the sound of not only top 40 radio, but their musical adventuresome. These are great musical adventurers, and their 8 and 9-minute elongated jams helped define the new FM programming. And barely a year later, they came with Abraxas and Black Magic Woman and Oya Kamava. And so with Greg Rowley on vocals and keyboards, and with Dave Brown on bass, Michael Shreve on drums, Mike Carabella on percussion, they literally took over the world of music. And yes, Santana, Carlos, you have been doing it ever since. You've influenced scores of musicians to come after you, all having been vocal about their debt to you. Prince, Vernon Reid, Dave Matthews, there are so many. And so it's with special pride and enhanced by the fact, Carlos, that we're reuniting now to work together for the future, that I join in this milestone tribute and welcome you to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Hi. I'm really honored to be here tonight to do this. I was determined to wing it because that's what improvisation is all about. I'm a player. I play improvised music, and when you improvise, when you improvise, you really take on a discipline like a samurai. That's the way we always look at it. It requires facility with your instrument, much like twirling your samurai sword or something. And you also have to be very in touch with what you hope is an inner peace, but an inner something. You have to be in touch and open to things that you're listening to, and you have to always be listening and anticipating the jam as best you can and improvising that way. What we're talking about here is a master samurai. I want to tell you about the day Miles Davis died. We were at, Blues Traveler was at a gig, and so was Santana, and Bill Graham, who was our manager at the time, arranged for Carlos to sit in with us. We did a 23-minute jam of a song of ours. And for me and for my bandmates, it was like our graduation because we stood toe-to-toe with the champ. It was kind of fun. I mean, I remember there were like 4 things we'd listen to when we were younger, and we'd get stoned, and we listened to Jimi Hendrix, and we listened to John Coltrane, we listened to P-Funk, and then there was Carlos. And you listen to Oyo Como Va, you see God. And I mean, I got to play with God. It was kind of cool. That was the last day I saw Bill alive, actually. And I remember coming off stage after we played, and I said, my God, I got to play with Carlos Santana. And I was all freaking out. And he looked really kind of satisfied, and he said, I remember when Carlos got to interact with Muddy Waters, and he was saying the exact same stuff you are. And I felt like I was really part of a tradition. And, Bill isn't around anymore, and I miss him a lot, but I feel like we're part of a tradition, And I think that, there's a prediction out there that I think is kind of true, that the entire Western Hemisphere is going to start gravitating towards one kind of music, from Canada to Chile. And I think it was Santana and his band that really saw this coming before anybody, and I think he was the first player in rock and roll to really kind of utilize that. And I'm just very honored to be here tonight to help us all induct a samurai and a shogun.